The chamber of the Galactic Council glittered with artificial starlight. Suspended above Valor Prime, the Helios spire was meant to embody harmony among civilizations. Its vaulted ceilings shimmered with holographic constellations, its polished floors reflected the light of 1,000 worlds. Yet to Marcus Hale, Earth's senior ambassador, the room felt like a cage lined with marble and mirrors, beautiful, suffocating, and deaf to reason. He stood at the center podium, the eyes of 200 alien delegates fixed upon him. His voice echoed through translation nodes, every word reshaped into tongues both melodic and chittering. "You do not understand," Marcus said, jaw tight, hands clenched behind his back to hide his restraint. "The XYRTH Dominion isn't a raiding fleet. They aren't expansionists. They consume. Their fleets move with mathematical precision, and when they arrive, planets go silent. Entire systems erased. I've studied the pattern. Worlds along the Orion Arm have gone dark in sequence. This is no coincidence. It's an approach." The assembly murmured, waves of color flashing across species that used bioluminescence for speech. A six-eyed delegate from the Orash hive clicked its mandibles. "Humans see threats everywhere. Perhaps war is all you know." Laughter rippled across the chamber, harsh and derisive. Marcus didn't flinch. "I fought in war. I know its shape. This is worse. The Council fleet is not prepared. You rely on doctrine 2 centuries old, on weapons designed for policing border skirmishes. Against the XYRTH, they'll last minutes." From her high seat, Chancellor Yrynnkale rose, robes flowing like molten silver. She towered over the delegates, tall and elegant, her voice smooth with calculated condescension. "Ambassador Hale, Earth has been a member of this council for what? A mere century? And yet you presume to lecture civilizations that have endured for millennia? Your species' history is one of chaos, conflict, and rash alarms. The council will not be moved by another human fear story." Marcus's restraint cracked. He raised his eyes directly to hers. "Fear isn't the same as foresight, Chancellor. If we're wrong, you lose nothing but caution. If we're right, you lose everything." The chamber fell quiet for a moment. Then a ripple of disdain spread again, delegates whispering, dismissing, scoffing. Chancellor Kale extended a hand, silencing the noise. "This council will not bow to paranoia. We will dispatch a fleet to investigate the Orion Arm and put to rest these human exaggerations. Now, unless you have tangible evidence beyond speculation, this debate is concluded." The ceremonial gong struck. Marcus was dismissed like a nuisance. Outside the chamber, Marcus walked the polished corridor with long strides, the weight of failure pressing against his ribs. His aide, Lieutenant Anya Serrano, kept pace beside him. "They didn't listen," she muttered, voice low but brimming with frustration. "They laughed in your face." Marcus exhaled slowly. "They always laugh. Until the fire touches their skin." They entered Earth's small diplomatic suite, far humbler than the grand embassies of older civilizations. Hollow screens lined the walls, cycling through feeds of council news, trade reports, and star charts. Marcus paused before a map of the Orion Arm. Red marks spread across the edge like a creeping infection. "Another colony went dark yesterday," Anya said, pulling up the report. "Valorna outpost. No distress signal. No debris. Just gone." Marcus stared at the blank spot on the map. "The XYRTH don't leave survivors. And the council still calls it coincidence." Behind them, the suite door opened. Dr. Elias Marrow, Earth's intelligence attaché, stepped in. His normally calm face was grim. "Interception reports confirm what we suspected. Faint gravitational disturbances near the Lapis Gate corridor. Too organized for natural anomalies. They're moving inward." Anya swore under her breath. "And the council is sending their fleet straight into the jaws." Marcus turned, shoulders set. "They believe in their invincibility. Doctrine blinds them. They'll learn, but the cost will be staggering." Elias hesitated, then said quietly, "We've already begun preparing contingency fleets back home. The Admiralty doesn't trust the Council any more than you do." They're working on adaptive weapons, unconventional strategies. But without authorization, we're alone. Marcus gave a faint, humorless smile. Humanity has always been alone. That's why we survive. Later that day, as the council assembled again for the grand send-off of its fleet, Marcus stood among the delegates, silent and unacknowledged. Vast holodisplays projected the council armada, thousands of gleaming warships assembled in tight formation, banners of dozens of species unfurled across their hulls. The crowd roared in pride, their voices echoing like a cathedral hymn. Chancellor Kale stepped forward, voice resounding across the chamber. The Galactic Council's strength is unmatched. Our fleets are the shield of civilization, the wall against chaos. To suggest that primitives from a young world know better than us is laughable. Watch, and see how swiftly we silence this phantom menace. The display showed the fleet engines igniting, a river of fire cutting across the void. Delegates cheered as the armada departed. Marcus turned away from the spectacle. He felt no triumph, only dread. Anya glanced at him. They're celebrating. He shook his head. They're marching to slaughter. Hours later, in his private quarters, Marcus dictated a secure message to Earth Command. Council fleet en route to Orion Arm. Their arrogance blinds them. Do not wait for permission. Accelerate all preparations. Deploy shadow fleets where possible. When the Council fails, and they will, we will be the last line standing. End transmission. He leaned back, exhaustion dragging at his shoulders. For a moment, he allowed himself silence, staring out the viewport at the glittering stars beyond Valor Prime. Somewhere out there, the XYRTH advanced, implacable, inevitable. His words in the chamber replayed in his mind. Fear isn't the same as foresight. He knew what the others refused to admit. The fire was already here, creeping closer with every passing day. And when the Council's pride finally shattered, humanity would have to bear the weight of survival, whether the galaxy welcomed their help or not. The Council fleet glided through the void like a parade of arrogance. Thousands of vessels stretched in perfect formation, hulls gleaming with ceremonial insignia. To their commanders, the mission was not a battle but a demonstration. They expected to scare off some nameless raiders, to return hailed as saviors. On the Helios spire, the delegates gathered in the observation hall, where live feeds projected the fleet's journey. Murmurs of approval filled the air as alien leaders admired their ships like proud parents watching a child march in uniform. Marcus Hale stood among them, his arms folded, face expressionless. He alone saw the inevitable collapse hidden beneath the grandeur. He glanced at Anya Serrano, standing silently at his side. Her lips tightened with the same thought. This will end in screams. At the edge of the Orion Arm, the fleet reached its coordinates. Admiral Vorik of the Kalari Confederacy appeared on the holodisplay, his tone dripping with confidence. Chancellor, we have arrived. Scanners show nothing unusual. The humans' paranoia has wasted valuable time. With your permission, we shall patrol the sector, then return. A ripple of smug laughter passed through the council chambers. Chancellor Kale inclined her head. Proceed, Admiral. End this farce. Marcus muttered under his breath. God help you. Minutes passed. Then an officer's voice cracked through the fleet's comms. Admiral, gravitational anomalies detected. Multiple signatures closing fast. The chamber went still. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Specify. Vorik ordered. The reply came sharp, panicked. Vectors emerging from hyperspace. Not natural. Count 300, 600, increasing. The feed exploded into light. Dark, insectal ships tore into existence, jagged silhouettes against the stars. Their hulls pulsed with a sickly bioluminescence, weapons fused into organic spines. The XYRTH had arrived. The first volley struck before the Council fleet fully reacted. Beams of compressed gravity lanced through shields as if they were tissue. Ships ruptured, scattering molten fragments across the void. Screams filled the comms. Enemy fire piercing barriers! Entire wings lost! They're inside our formation! In the observation hall, Delegates stared in stunned silence as the impossible unfolded. Admiral Vorik's image reappeared, the once proud commander now frantic. "We are under heavy assault! Shields ineffective! Request immediate reinforcement!" Marcus whispered, more to himself than anyone. "Reinforcements won't matter. Not at that pace." On the screens, the fleet dissolved. Thousands of warships designed over centuries, annihilated in minutes. The XYRTH moved like predators among prey, splitting groups, cutting supply lines, striking with ruthless precision. A Kalari dreadnought unleashed its main cannon, a beam capable of piercing moons. It struck a XYRTH capital ship dead center. The alien vessel rippled, absorbed the energy, and continued its slaughter unharmed. Gasps filled the chamber. "They're adapting," Marcus said grimly. "Every strike teaches them how to resist the next." The feed crackled again. A trembling voice. "Admiral down! Command destroyed! We—" The signal dissolved into static. The display filled with the last moments of the fleet, ships scattering, engines flaring in panic, each cut down within seconds. Then silence. Only drifting wreckage and fading energy signatures. The proud armada was gone. Panic erupted in the council. Delegates shouted over one another, voices shrill and desperate. Some demanded retaliation, others accused Marcus of engineering deceit. Species that had mocked him now shrank in fear, eyes darting as if the XYRTH might burst into the chamber itself. Chancellor Kale struck her staff against the floor. "Order!" Her voice wavered despite the command. She forced composure onto her features. "This outcome was unforeseen. A tragedy, yes, but isolated. We will regroup." Marcus stepped forward, cutting her off. "Unforeseen?" His voice carried the sharpness of a blade. "I told you what was coming. I gave you patterns, data, testimony. You ignored it. Now the galaxy pays the price." The chamber turned toward him. Some delegates glared, but many looked stricken, realizing the truth. "The XYRTH didn't just win a battle," Marcus continued. "They dismantled your strongest fleet in minutes. That was your shield, and now it's ash. Every border world is exposed. If you think this was isolated, you're blind. They're already advancing. You've just opened the gates." A small framed envoy from the Vesh Collective spoke in a trembling voice. What do we do?" Marcus met his gaze. "We stop pretending the Council can handle this with ceremony and pride. You need strategy, adaptability, and weapons they've never seen before. Humanity has prepared for this day, because we knew you wouldn't." Chancellor Kale bristled. "You overstep, Hale. Earth is a junior member, not a savior. The Council will determine." "Chancellor," Marcus snapped, his voice like thunder in the chamber. "Your Council is broken. Your fleets are gone. Keep clinging to arrogance, and you'll doom us all." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. For the first time, the weight of Marcus's words pressed against the arrogance that had ruled for centuries. Hours later, in Earth's suite, the human team reviewed the incoming reports. Refugee vessels streamed in from the Orion Arm, ragged survivors carrying tales of burning colonies. Anya's hands trembled as she scrolled through the data. "They're spreading faster than predicted. Systems are falling in hours." Elias Marrow leaned over the table. "The Council will collapse under panic. Every species will scatter to defend their own worlds. Without coordination, the XYRTH will cut through them one by one." Marcus rubbed his temples. "Which is exactly what they want." He straightened, eyes hard. "Then Earth takes the lead. We can't wait for consensus. Prepare the fleets. Signal the Admiralty. Move from shadow readiness to open mobilization." Anya looked at him, startled. "If the Council realizes, they'll protest," Marcus said coldly. "Let them. When their worlds are burning, they'll follow whoever can fight back. And that's us." He turned back to the viewport, stars glittering like 1,000 fragile lives. The council chamber behind him was in chaos, but none of it mattered. The truth was already written across the wreckage of the fleet. The galaxy had thought humanity was paranoid. Now, humanity would be the last wall between survival and extinction. And Marcus Hale had no intention of letting it fall. The council chamber reeked of fear. Delegates shouted across the dome, their voices jagged with panic. Star maps flickered overhead, red zones spreading across council space like a plague. Every hour brought new reports of burning colonies and shattered defenses. The chamber that once echoed with arrogance now quivered with desperation. Chancellor Yn Kale stood at the center dais, her composure cracked. "We must preserve order," she insisted, though her voice trembled. "Each species must protect its own holdings. The Council will endure." "Endure?" Marcus Hale's voice sliced through the uproar. He stepped into the center, shoulders squared, gaze unyielding. "You've already lost endurance. Your unity is collapsing. The XYRTH don't care about borders. They will not pause at one world to spare another. Alone, you will fall. Together, we might have a chance." A delegate from the Orash hive hissed. "Why should we follow humans? You are young, reckless." Marcus turned on him, words sharp. "Reckless? Or prepared? While you laughed, we built fleets. While you dismissed, we studied the patterns. Humanity has faced extinction more than once. We learned how to fight with nothing, and still survive. Can you say the same?" Silence spread through the chamber. Delegates shifted, uncomfortable but listening. Chancellor Kale tried to seize control. "Do not mistake desperation for authority, Ambassador Hale. Earth cannot presume to lead the Council." Marcus's voice dropped, calm but edged with steel. "Then don't call it leadership. Call it survival. You still have worlds worth saving, fleets worth rallying. But the XYRTH are not afraid of your traditions. They only fear resistance they cannot predict. That is what humanity brings." Later, in Earth's war chamber aboard the Helios Spire, holograms of ships filled the air. Sleek vessels bristling with weaponry, their hulls painted not with ceremony but with scorched pragmatism. The human fleet, long kept hidden, was finally revealed. Anya Serrano's eyes gleamed with pride as the projections cycled. 70 carriers, 100 destroyers, and 3 experimental dreadnoughts. Smaller than the Council's armada, but adaptive. Shield modulators, kinetic dampeners, hyperspace mines. Every trick we could cram into them. Elias Marrow added. "Our crews have drilled for this. We knew the Council's doctrine wouldn't hold. We trained for chaos." Marcus nodded. "Chaos is what will save us." A ripple of voices echoed behind him. Several smaller delegations, species with worlds already lost, stood at the chamber entrance. Their leaders bowed slightly. The Vesh envoy spoke first. "Our fleets are broken, our colonies gone. But our people are willing to fight under your command. Better to stand with humans than die alone." One by one, others joined, the Drath, the Kivin, even splinters of the Orash hive. Not unity, not yet, but fragments pulled together by desperation. Marcus faced them. "You fight not for humanity. You fight for survival. We'll hold the line. But know this, the cost will be steep." The Vesh envoy's mandibles clicked. "The cost of inaction is extinction." The first true test came at Tauros IV, a refugee world swollen with survivors from the Orion Arm. The XYRTH fleet emerged in a storm of rift light, their jagged silhouettes blotting out the stars. Human ships met them head-on. Marcus stood aboard the flagship Resolute, the command deck alive with urgency. "Enemy count rising. 200 vessels," Anya reported, voice steady despite the tension. "Deploy the wall," Marcus ordered. Human ships shifted into formation, not rigid like the Council's failed armadas but staggered, flexible. Drones surged forward, broadcasting false signals to confuse targeting. Behind them, destroyers flared to life, releasing hyperspace mines that detonated in blinding waves, tearing into the XYRTH's advance. For the first time, the predators faltered. Cheers rippled through the comms, but Marcus raised a hand. "Don't celebrate. They adapt. Keep moving." The XYRTH retaliated, beams lashing across the void, rending 2 destroyers to fragments. The shock reverberated across the line. Marcus steadied his voice. Hold formation. Shift vectors, draw them into the mines. The Council observers watched in awe from distant feeds. Humanity fought like no fleet before, maneuvering unpredictably, sacrificing ships to lure enemies, striking with brutal creativity. Losses mounted, but the line bent without breaking. At the heart of the battle, the Resolute unleashed its experimental weapon, a compressed plasma spear hurled through hyperspace folds. The beam pierced the XYRTH capital ship, splitting its hull in incandescent fire. For the first time, a predator screamed. Target neutralized! Anya shouted. The comms erupted with voices from allied ships, Vesh, Drath, Kivin, each taking courage from humanity's stand. Together, they pressed forward. Hours dragged like days. The battle scarred space itself with debris and fire. But when the smoke cleared, the XYRTH retreated, leaving wreckage of their own behind. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible, the predators beaten back. In the aftermath, the Council reconvened. The chamber, once dripping with disdain for Earth, now bristled with reluctant respect. Delegates spoke in hushed tones, glancing at Marcus as though he had grown taller in the night. Chancellor Kale tried to recover dignity. Your victory is commendable, Ambassador, but temporary. We cannot base strategy on reckless gambits. The Council must reassess. Marcus cut her short, his words precise. Call it reckless if you wish, Chancellor. But it worked. Your fleets fought by rulebook and died in minutes. Ours fought by instinct and endured. If you want survival, then adapt. If not, keep debating until there's no one left to speak. Silence followed. No one laughed this time. The Vesh Anva rose. Our people recognize strength when they see it. We will stand with humanity. Others joined in, voices rising, reluctant but resolute. The Council, fractured though it was, began to lean toward a new center, Earth. That night, Marcus stood at his viewport aboard the Resolute, staring at the star maps. Red zones still spread like blood across the galaxy. The battle at Telros was only a pinprick against the tide. Anya approached quietly. We proved them wrong. For the first time, the XYRTH retreated. Marcus shook his head. They didn't retreat. They learned. Next time they'll be harder, faster. This was just their test. He placed a hand on the glass, tracing the advancing front. The real war begins now. And we're standing on the line. His voice dropped to a whisper, but the steel in it remained. Humanity is the line.